I had the perfect life with my wife Amanda. 8 years of marriage filled with love, trust, and mutual respect. We were the couple our friends envied. Her family welcomed me like a son, especially her younger sister Natalie, who I treated like my own sister. But everything shattered during one family dinner when Natalie accused me of something unthinkable, and Amanda believed her without question. I never imagined the people I trusted most would betray me so deeply. Before I tell you how my life was destroyed by a single lie, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever had your trust betrayed by someone you considered family. I met Amanda during our sophomore year in college. She was studying psychology while I focused on computer science. We connected instantly over our shared love of hiking and classic rock music. After graduation, we dated for 2 years before I proposed on a mountain summit overlooking Lake Michigan. The wedding was perfect, intimate, yet memorable, with both our families celebrating our union. After 8 years together, we had built a comfortable life in suburban Chicago. I had worked my way up to senior software engineer at a reputable tech firm while Amanda thrived as a school counselor. We purchased our dream home last year, a charming 3-bedroom colonial with a spacious backyard where we planned to raise children someday. Our weekends consisted of home improvement projects, entertaining friends, and our standing Sunday dinners with her family. The Thompsons were a tight-knit unit. Amanda was the oldest of 2 daughters. Her parents, Frank and Judith, welcomed me from day one. Frank often invited me to watch sports in his man cave, while Judith slipped me extra portions of her famous pot roast. But the family dynamic centered around Natalie, the baby of the family at 24. Everyone catered to her needs and overlooked her occasional dramatic outbursts. In the beginning, Natalie and I got along well. She was 19 when Amanda and I married, still finding her way through college. I played the role of supportive brother-in-law, helping her navigate internship applications and offering career advice. We shared a genuine fondness for each other, often joking around at family gatherings. Amanda appreciated the bond we formed, commenting how lucky she was that her husband and sister got along so well. 3 months ago, I noticed subtle shifts in Natalie. She began texting me directly instead of going through Amanda. The messages started innocently enough, asking for advice on job interviews or help understanding investment options. Then they became more frequent and personal. She would ask about my relationship with Amanda, how we handled disagreements, or what I thought made a marriage successful. I answered politely but kept my responses brief and generic. Then came the unannounced visits to our house when she knew Amanda would be working late. The first time she claimed she was in the neighborhood and wanted to borrow a book. The second time she brought coffee and wanted advice about a workplace conflict. By the third visit, I felt uncomfortable with the pattern. She lingered too long, sitting unusually close on the couch and touching my arm when emphasizing points in conversation. I mentioned these visits casually to Amanda, who dismissed my concerns, saying her sister was going through a tough time after breaking up with her boyfriend Taylor. The week before everything imploded, Natalie texted asking if we could meet alone to discuss a personal matter. She emphasized not to mention it to Amanda. Red flags immediately went up. I politely declined, suggesting whatever she needed to discuss could wait until family dinner on Sunday, or she could talk to Amanda directly. This triggered an angry response. She accused me of not caring about her problems and insisted she could only trust me with this issue. I held my ground, reiterating that private meetings did not seem appropriate. She stopped responding, but sent one final message hours later. Fine. Forget I asked. That Sunday, Amanda and I arrived at her parents' house for dinner as usual. The moment we walked in, I sensed something was wrong. Frank barely acknowledged my greeting, and Judith gave me a cold nod instead of her customary hug. Amanda seemed oblivious to the tension, chatting with her mother about a new recipe as I awkwardly stood in the foyer. When I asked about Natalie, Judith tersely explained she was not feeling well and resting upstairs. The dinner proceeded with uncomfortable silence, punctuated by stilted conversation about weather and neighborhood news. No one made eye contact with me. 20 minutes into the meal, Amanda received a text message. She glanced at her phone, excused herself from the table, and disappeared upstairs without explanation. My stomach knotted as I sat alone with Frank and Judith. Frank stabbed at his roast beef while Judith pushed food around her plate. The silence stretched painfully until Amanda returned 15 minutes later, her eyes red-rimmed and her complexion pale. "Let us go now," she said flatly. The drive home was excruciating. Amanda stared straight ahead, ignoring my questions about what happened. Her hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. When we finally reached our house, she marched inside and stood in the center of our living room, arms crossed protectively over her chest. "Natalie told me everything," she finally said, her voice trembling. "How could you, Jeffrey? What are you talking about?" I asked, genuinely confused. "She told me about last Tuesday, when you tried to kiss her. When you touched her while I was at my conference in Milwaukee." Her words knocked the wind from my lungs. The accusation was completely fabricated. I had been at work all day. Tuesday then had dinner with my colleague Jim to discuss our upcoming project deadline. "Amanda, that is absolutely false. I never touched Natalie. I would never do something like that. She knows what color underwear you were wearing. She described the exact layout of our bedroom. She told me you said I would never find out," Amanda shouted, tears streaming down her face. My mind raced. How could Natalie know these details? Then it hit me. Natalie had used our bathroom during one of her visits. She must have glimpsed our bedroom from the hallway. Amanda had given her a house tour when we first moved in. The realization made me sick. I spent the next hour desperately trying to make Amanda see reason. I offered to show her my calendar call Jim to verify our dinner, even suggested checking our doorbell camera to prove I came home late from work. But Amanda had already made up her mind. "Natalie would never lie about something like this," she said with chilling finality. She packed an overnight bag and left to stay with her parents. My calls and texts went unanswered. I sat alone in our house, surrounded by photos of our happiness, completely shattered by a lie I could not understand. The following days became a nightmare. Amanda filed for separation through her lawyer. Her family blocked my number. Mutual friends began canceling plans and avoiding me. Through the grapevine, I learned Natalie had shared a carefully crafted version of events, portraying herself as a victim and me as a predator who had been grooming her for years. My professional life suffered as concentration became impossible. Fortunately, my boss granted emergency leave when I explained I was going through a personal crisis. Though supportive, I noticed the subtle shift in how colleagues interacted with me as rumors inevitably spread. The emotional toll was devastating. I could not eat or sleep. The betrayal cut deeper than the accusation itself. How could Amanda dismiss 8 years of trust so easily? How could she believe I would commit such an act? The foundation of our relationship revealed itself to be shockingly fragile. Throughout this ordeal, only a few people stood by me. My best friend Michael offered his guest room when being alone in our house became unbearable. My parents called daily from Arizona, offering to fly out despite their health challenges. And surprisingly, my lawyer Barbara, who specialized in defamation cases, believed in my innocence from our first meeting. Barbara advised documenting everything and gathering evidence of my whereabouts during the alleged incident. I provided my work badge access logs, credit card statements showing dinner with Jim, and extracted footage from our doorbell camera confirming my arrival time. But proving a negative remained challenging, especially when Amanda refused to examine any evidence. 2 weeks into this nightmare, Michael mentioned something that triggered a new line of thinking. Remember when Natalie crashed that wedding last year and claimed the groom had secretly been in love with her in high school? She has a history of making herself the center of dramatic situations. This observation connected to her recent breakup with Taylor. According to Amanda, before all this happened, Taylor had ended their 2-year relationship because Natalie became too controlling. Was this accusation somehow related to that rejection? The breakthrough came unexpectedly. I received an email from an unfamiliar address with the subject line, "Truth about Natalie." It was from Taylor, Natalie's ex-boyfriend. He had heard about the accusations through mutual friends and felt compelled to reach out. The email contained screenshots of disturbing text messages between him and Natalie from just before our fallout. In these messages, Natalie complained about my rejecting her suggestion to meet privately. She wrote, "Jeffrey thinks he is too good for me. Always the perfect husband to my perfect sister. I will show him what happens when he dismisses me." Taylor had asked what she meant, and her response chilled me. "I have a plan. By next week, Amanda will never look at him the same way again." Taylor apologized for not coming forward sooner, explaining he had initially dismissed her comments as typical post-breakup venting. He offered to speak with Amanda directly if it would help clear my name. The evidence from Taylor was just the beginning of unraveling Natalie's web of lies. With Barbara's help, I compiled a comprehensive file including Taylor's screenshots, my location data, work records, and character references from colleagues and friends. I sent this information directly to Amanda with a simple message: "Please review this with an open mind." 3 agonizing days passed without response. When Amanda finally replied, her message was defensive and dismissive. She accused me of manipulating evidence and coaching Taylor to lie for me. Despite the mounting proof of my innocence, she stubbornly clung to her belief in her sister. The blind family loyalty that I once admired now stood as an impenetrable wall between us. My hope diminished until Taylor made good on his offer to speak directly with Amanda. They met for coffee without my knowledge. Taylor not only shared additional text conversations, but also played voice recordings from his phone. In these recordings, Natalie explicitly admitted to fabricating the story because I had rejected her romantic advances, and she wanted to punish me for my loyalty to Amanda. The recordings also revealed Natalie's long-standing jealousy of her sister's successful marriage and career. With irrefutable evidence staring her in the face, Amanda finally confronted her sister. According to what she later told me, the scene was explosive. Natalie initially doubled down on her accusations until Amanda revealed the recordings. Trapped by her own words, Natalie broke down in tears, alternating between admitting her lies and blaming her behavior on emotional trauma from her breakup. She claimed she never intended for the situation to escalate so dramatically and that she had been in a bad mental state. The Thompson family imploded in the aftermath of this revelation. Frank and Judith, who had been ready to cut me out of their lives permanently, now faced the painful truth about their younger daughter. The family divided on how to handle the situation. Frank wanted to pretend nothing had happened and sweep it under the rug. Judith insisted Natalie needed professional help. Amanda found herself torn between anger at her sister and guilt over doubting me. 3 days after Natalie's confession, Amanda appeared at my door. She carried a peace offering, homemade lasagna, my favorite meal from early in our relationship. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her normally perfect appearance disheveled. The woman standing before me barely resembled the confident partner I had married. "Jeffrey, I am so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I should have believed you. I should have known you would never do something like that. Please forgive me." Her words should have brought relief, but instead they sparked a complex mixture of emotions. Yes, I felt vindicated, but the betrayal still cut deep. How could I reconcile with someone who had abandoned me so completely at the first test of our bond? The foundation of trust that took 8 years to build had crumbled in an instant. Over the next week, the apologies flooded in. Frank and Judith left tearful voicemails begging for a chance to make amends. Friends who had ghosted me suddenly remembered our friendship. And Natalie, at her parents' insistence, sent a formal letter of apology, blaming mental health issues for her fabricated claims. Everyone seemed to expect immediate forgiveness. They wanted to start fresh, as if my life had not been nearly destroyed. Amanda particularly struggled with my hesitation to reconcile. She had moved back to her parents' house after our confrontation, and now called daily asking when she could come home. The subtext was clear. The truth was out, so everything should return to normal. But nothing felt normal. I spent sleepless nights weighing my options. Michael advised caution, reminding me that trust once broken is never the same. My parents suggested moving to Arizona for a fresh start without the Thompsons in my life. Barbara, my lawyer, laid out the option of pursuing a defamation case against Natalie, though she warned the process would be emotionally draining. Through therapy sessions with Dr. Hannigan, I gradually clarified my feelings. I did not want revenge. I did not want to punish Amanda perpetually for her mistake. But I could not simply pretend this experience had not fundamentally changed me and my view of our marriage. After 1 month of separation, I asked Amanda to meet me at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop halfway between our house and her parents' home. She arrived early, obviously, having taken extra care with her appearance. Hope radiated from her as she sat across from me. I have conditions, I told her firmly. If there is any chance of rebuilding this relationship, I need acknowledgement that you broke our fundamental trust. I need couples therapy before I consider moving back home. And I need space from Natalie indefinitely. Amanda readily agreed to everything, clearly relieved that reconciliation remained possible. She reached for my hand across the table, but I pulled back, not yet ready for that intimacy. Her face fell, but she nodded in understanding. The road back has been neither straight nor easy. I moved temporarily into Michael's guest house to maintain my independence during the reconciliation process. Our couples therapist, Dr. Winters, created a structured program to rebuild communication and trust gradually. The first sessions were painful, with Amanda breaking down as she confronted her failure to support me and my struggle to articulate the depth of my hurt without causing more damage. Amanda proved her commitment through consistent actions rather than just words. She respected my boundaries, never pushing for more than I could give. She began individual therapy to address her own family dynamics that led to believing her sister over her husband. Most significantly, she stood firm against family pressure to accelerate our reconciliation timeline. The most challenging moment came during our first family therapy session with Amanda's parents. Natalie was not invited at my request. Frank initially resisted attending, calling the whole process unnecessary now that the truth was known. But Amanda insisted, refusing to enable further denial. During the session, Judith wept as she admitted their parenting had contributed to Natalie's behavior by always excusing her actions. Frank struggled to meet my eyes, but finally acknowledged the gravity of what had happened. 3 months after the accusation, I made my decision. I would commit to rebuilding our marriage through continued counseling, but I would not move back into our house yet. The space gave me room to heal independently while working on our relationship. Amanda accepted my terms, though I could see her disappointment at the slow pace of reconciliation. I also established clear boundaries regarding Natalie. She had begun intensive therapy, diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, according to what Amanda shared. While I acknowledged her illness contributed to her actions, I maintained that mental health explained but did not excuse the harm caused. I agreed to eventually consider carefully supervised family gatherings, but individual contact with Natalie remained off the table indefinitely. 6 months have passed since that terrible Sunday dinner that nearly destroyed my life. Amanda and I have found our way back to each other, though our relationship bears permanent scars. We recently decided to sell our house and purchase a new home, both for practical reasons and symbolic ones. The fresh start in a place without painful memories has helped us look forward rather than backward. My relationship with the Thompson family exists, but with firm boundaries. Sunday dinners resumed after 4 months, though less frequently, and with careful planning to manage Natalie's involvement. She and I maintain respectful distance under the watchful eyes of her therapist and family. The enthusiastic brother-sister bond we once shared will never return, but civil interaction has become possible. This experience transformed me in ways I never anticipated. I discovered strength I did not know I possessed when facing the collapse of my world. I learned to value my self-respect above any relationship, even my marriage. Most importantly, I gained clarity about the nature of trust, both its fragility and its preciousness. Forgiveness did not come easily or completely. There are still moments when the betrayal feels fresh, when I look at Amanda and briefly see the woman who chose her sister over our 8-year bond. But I have learned that forgiveness is not a single act, but a daily choice. It does not require forgetting or pretending the wound never existed. True forgiveness acknowledges the pain while choosing to move beyond it. The greatest lesson from this ordeal concerns the danger of blind loyalty. Amanda initially chose family obligation over evidence, emotion over reason. Her unquestioning belief in her sister nearly cost her everything. Through therapy, she recognized this pattern stemmed from childhood dynamics she had never examined critically. Breaking free from these patterns has made her not only a better partner, but a stronger individual. For those watching who might be facing your own version of betrayal or false accusations, remember this: stand firmly in your truth even when no one believes you. Document everything, seek support from those who remain loyal. And know that vindication, while sweet, is only part of healing. The rebuilding happens internally through reclaiming your sense of self beyond what others believe about you. Have you ever been falsely accused or had someone you love believe lies about you? Share your experience in the comments below. I read every comment and know your insights might help someone else feeling alone in their struggle. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps me continue sharing these difficult life lessons. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the hardest truths lead to our greatest growth.